We'll start now. So, hello everyone, welcome to the GSC workshop on open source. So, a bit about myself is that I'm Jinghua. I'm currently studying year 3 in business and computer science. I'm the head of technology for the GSC club. I do a bit of front end, back end, and AI, and also do research in NLP and multimodal reasoning. I'm also a more experienced open source developer. You can check out more details in my LinkedIn or GitHub. So the first part will be about introduction to open source. Firstly, open source is not just free software. Free software is software that is free, which means that you don't have to pay money. But open source means that the source code of the application is widely available. So what is open source software? Open source software is simply just sharing the design for your work so that it can be reused and remixed by other people. So some examples are Linux, Android, Firefox, Chromium, WordPress, or some developed by Google such as Go, TensorFlow, Angular, and Flutter. So why open source? The first one is hacker ethic. This is the belief that nobody should have to reinvent the wheel. If you have benefited from someone else's work, you should also give back to the community. The second one is distributed collaborative innovation. So it's about sharing your work, then other people will share their work back with you. The third one is about open source making interdisciplinarily easier. So it's about different kind of discipline like linguistics, coding, computer science to create projects to benefit different domains. The fourth one is decentralization, appropriation, and customization. In open source, the code is not owned by a single organization, and many people can use the code. The fifth one is document for others and for you. If you include documentation to help others set it up, it'll be easier for you to come back to the project when you have forgotten what you did. Here are some examples of open source licenses like MIT, GPL, and CC0. And you can use the following websites to decide which licenses to use. So the importance of licensing is that when Apple was deciding which C++ compiler to use, they chose LLVM instead of GCC because of the licensing issues. So now is the part 2, which is about contributing to open source. Here's why you should contribute to open source. The first one is the benefits of collaborating with people all around the world, from beginners to experts. The second one is learning. When doing open source, you can work on real-life projects, which will help you prepare for the industry. Then the third one is community involvement. In open source, the users and the community will give feedback on the work that you do. So here are 3 ways to contribute to open source. The first one is documentation. Second one is code, and third one is sketching bugs. So how to start contributing? The first one is to go to your favorite project libraries and look for the guides on how to contribute to that specific library. Then you can also try visiting this website, firsttimersonly.com, to see some beginners projects for you to do. Then the third one and fourth one is to participate in some open source events like the Hacktober Fest and the Google Summer of Code. So an important thing about open source is version control. Most of the open source projects will be using some version control software like Git. And version control software allows you to effectively save your work at important points in time and come back to any of the save points. Here are some of the popular Git servers, which is GitHub, Bitbucket, GitLab, and hosting your own. So why should you use version control? Firstly is to never mess up with your code. And even if you mess up, you can recover your mistakes by going back in history. And it makes collaborating on code much easier. And it provides offsite backup, so you as long as you push your work to a remote server. Now we'll be introducing some open source events. The first one is Hacktober, which is happening in October this month. And Hacktober is about encouraging people to contribute to open source throughout October. And to participate, you just have to do 4 pull requests to any public repo participating in Hacktober. They have the Hacktober topic in the GitHub repository. The rewards and recognition is that you have a tree planted in your name and you will receive a unique digital award. The second one is Google Summer of Code, which is also another open source event. And this is the collaboration of students with open source organizations. So how it works is that you find an organization to propose a project and you get selected and you code during the summer. The benefits is that you get stipend, mentorship, and industry recognition. So we have come to the Q&A and demo. So the first thing I will share is the Hacktober. So if you want to participate in the Hacktober, which is a good preparation for the Google Summer of Code, you can go to this website to see the participation details. So to participate, you have to first go to GitHub. You have to first create a GitHub account first. So if you don't have GitHub, you need to create one. Then you can go find some Hacktober. Yes, you can see the Hacktober topics. Then here are all the repositories that you can contribute to. And so if you are new to contributing, you can go to the firsttimesonly.com. Then you can find like good first issues. Then these issues are usually very simple, like adding documentation, testing the script and giving feedback, and treating some warning errors. So to explain more about GitHub is just when you register, you'll see this homepage. Then this is your feed when you get all the notifications of the people you follow. Like what kind of repository is that? Then this is your profile page. So for the Google Summer of Code, currently the 2024 program is not out yet. So when it gets released, there will be a 2024 project list. Then you can go through the projects to see which one you're interested in, then create a proposal for the organization. I think that's all. Is there any question? If there's no questions, then we can end this meeting. For open source, there's no requirements for the coding languages. For contribution, it can be in terms of the documentations of the code or just finding bugs. Then for the language, you can choose based on the repository that you want to contribute to. So for example, if you visit this Good First Issue website, you can browse by the languages. So if you are more proficient in Python, then you can choose Python. Then when you go to the website, you click on the issue. Then they will label this as a Good First Issue. So this is good for those beginners. Also, when you contribute, you appear in the contributors list. And you also appear in your contribution graph, right over here.
Maybe Jingwa,
Oh,
sorry to interrupt.
yes.
Maybe you can show them if you have your previous contribution to any open source project.
Yeah. Also, so just now I was saying, like, I think the screen wasn't sharing. So then I was saying that if you click on this one, then you can see it's labeled the Good First Issue. Then it's usually easy for beginners. So after you contribute, you appear inside the contributors list here. It also appear inside your profile, like over here, and also inside your contribution graph. So I think some of the projects I contribute to is like this one. You can see that there's some issues that you can take. Oh, for example, this one. So can look through all these issues, then maybe you'll see this and can contribute also. Do you have any tips for starting an open source project on GitHub? I think to start open source project on GitHub, the most important thing is to have like proper documentation for other people to be able to set up your project and be able to understand what parts that needs to be contributed.
Jingwa, you may share the tips for freshmen, how to start with contribution, what technologies they should learn.
So if you want to start on the contribution, then can go to this link, then find this one. So if you're good at Python, maybe you'll learn Python because it's easier. Then you can see which one you want to contribute. Like for example, this matplotlib. Then for example, you got this one. Then you read the issue. Then if you feel like you can solve this issue, you can first go to the main page, then fork the repo. Then after you're creating the fork, you'll appear inside your own repository. So for example, if I go for this Hugging Face transformers, they will appear inside my own transformer. So it's here. Then you can clone this repository. Then push to this repository. Then do a pull request to the main repository. Oh yes, if the important thing to know is if they have this contributing markdown, then it's better to read this one before contributing. You explain the different ways to contribute and how to contribute. So for example, this one can contribute in these 4 ways. They also teach you how to set up their code base and how to create a pull request. And so for example, after you fork the repo, you'll be inside here. Then you can clone the repo by copying this link. Then going to the terminal. Then type the git clone. Git clone command to clone the repository. They will be cloning the repository. Then before doing anything, any code, it's best to create a new branch for the new feature. Right? You can call the new feature. Then, for example, if you want to change some documentation, right? Like the README file, you found some typo. Right? For example, here you want to add a full stop. Then after adding the full stop, you can add to the commit. After committing, you can push to your own repository. Then you appear inside here. You'll see that this new branch and recent pushes. Then you can compare and pull requests. Then this is the title. Then this is the template for the PR. Then you will need to read this one. Then see if it fulfills the PR. Then here you can see the changes that you have made. Then you can just click on create PR to make a pull request. Then it will appear inside here. Then when it's approved, it will become something like this. There's a question about starting your own issues. Enhancement features on other repos also come. For open source, starting your own issues and enhancement will come. But for the also counts as open source, but for the Hacktober phase, it will only count if the pull requests have the Hacktober phase label. So you can ask the maintainer to add the label before approving the pull request. Then there's another question about the projects that I want to contribute are normally large-scale projects with a lot of files and codes. How can I navigate through all this information and make a meaningful contribution to the open source project? So usually for the beginner issues, they'll usually provide some guidance on which files to look for. And if you're still not sure, you can also ask the maintainer inside the issue about which files are the relevant one. Any more questions? If there's no more question, you can leave now. But I'll still wait for 5 more minutes before ending this thing.
If nobody has a question, participants may leave.